good day. Tamers. It's been a while. I think I did one of these around the end of Germany time, and decks that were going around at that point. Kind of a recap what's going on. Obviously, we had a ban list recently, so decks do kind of up and down depending on how good the ban list was to them or not. And there's definitely a deck I haven't put on here, and that is Metal Garurumon. And that's to be fair, because I've not seen anyone try and play that since the recent ban list, because I don't think they want to try and have to like work at it in a most respectful way of saying it. It was definitely a very much like I don't have to think to play this game kind of deck, but I think now that they do have to think a bit more and like be more careful with their pieces, it's definitely one of these drowning in rogue kind of decks. So yeah, it's not on here, but I do think it'd be a drowning in rogue for now, just until people like crack it. So tier 1 decks, essentially anything that's good. We haven't got a like tier 0 deck, and I don't think Beelzebub was even going to be a tier 0 deck. They hit it very early, and annoyingly for a lot of us who put money into the deck, you know, it's essentially become a dead deck straight away. Beelzebub, I'd say, is probably like a tier 2 deck now. Respectfully, that consistency is a massive thing, and to be fair, the biggest thing I've said about this is I hate the fact when they take cards away from you when there's nothing you could put into its place like as equal or even half value. There's only the 4 cards that you can trash and gain things from, and now you've reduced that down to like 3.25 cards. So that's the annoying thing. If you had like another Hitmon that could like say like when trash another card, or like when trash return a card to your hand or something like that, then like maybe I could understand like people being like, well, you know, I'm not trashing everything like crazy now, but at least I'm getting like, you know, there could have been something like here and there. But that's what I like when they ban things with like no replacements at all, or like nothing to sort of like refill the deck. But yeah, I think it's a tier 2 deck now. There's a lot of issues, struggles into a lot of decks. It's not an aggro deck anymore because it's super slow, so you have to be more of a control deck, and I don't think that fits the playstyle of like literally killing yourself by milling your deck out. So I don't know how I feel about this, but yeah, I don't think Beelzemon's in a good place, and to be fair, I think he could do having Hitmons come back once we get a bit further down the line, especially when decks start getting faster, as like BT14. Tier 1. I definitely still think that Bloomlord has a tier 1 deck. It got top 4 on regionals Friday. I don't think it's just because what was in the room. I do think that hitting, you can still digivolve for 1 in tier level 5, which I think is very consistently good. But I don't think that really messes it. You've also got to remember we now have access to Quartz, which is essentially a deck that just stunlocks everyone that moves further field unless you can get rid of it. Can't get rid of it, you can't play the game. Green is in a good position, and I do think that's where people need to remember, like, you know, this is good. This is a good deck. It's a very good deck. Dark Knightmon, I do think this is probably more like a tier 3 deck. It's about to get support in EX4. I don't think it really helps too much, but it's still playable. People do have problems with the deck because it can be a case of like they can never stop the continuous like swarming of blockers, and the Russian doll of Digimon just doesn't stop. I'd like to say tier 2, but I do think its power is a little bit weaker than Beelz's at the moment. Blue Flare, I'd say, is probably a 1.5 deck, personal opinion. It's very good, it's very efficient. It's going to become a bit more of a aggressive deck in EX4. It's access to jamming, as well as a few new tricks where it can just start swinging and not really care so much. And it does have some good matchups into other decks. Essentially anything like Black or Greymon, or even to a degree Machinedramon and some other things where it strip sources. Strip sourcing is still very good in this game. I think a lot of people forget about this. Jesmon, I haven't seen much of this, to be fair. I do think it's a tier 2 deck though, from what I can remember it doing. Obviously it has the nice effects from the GX mode, as well as having the system on support. So the deck is fairly good, it's just not going to be in any of the good places right now. We do get more support in BT13, but from what I can remember, I don't think it really helps the deck out. You just get another name for your level 5 slots. Oop deck, definitely rogue. We are getting more stuff for this soon. That could change it all, but for us it's going to be like another like 5 or so months, 6 months, so we actually get the support for this. So it's going to be a while to actually get to play with it, but I do think it's just a rogue deck is rogue. Trenamon, again, same sort of situation. It's a rogue deck. It's fairly good, it's fairly consistent, but the consistency is too slow. You don't really get much out. If anything, it's for the fact that it's level 5 is really good, and that's where this deck kind of shines. Black War Greymon, I'd like to say it's probably somewhere between tier 1 and tier 1.5. Mid-range control decks are really good. It's just the fact that it has a hard counter now with War Greymon, which I think just knocks it down the extra half a tier. Again, it's still fairly good. It's still got quite a few good matchups, but you know you've got to see your pieces, and that's the other part of this deck. It's it's a piece deck. You need to be able to survive on this couple of turns. Oh god, I'm gonna say tier 2. It's got some of the best options in the game. Flamehouse Scythe, Chaos Gradation, a very easy way to go into your level 6, shooting out things that just destroy things with Tamers. Very good deck. Just not quick enough, it feels like, or your pieces feel expensive. When you get access to something that lets you play a Tamer for free, but for instance, let's say you have an Angie woman that like we can evolve, play a Mirror for free, and then Mirror effect, can kick in at the same time. I don't know. I think the issue with this is like there's got to be some way to get these out for free. Maybe a Gatomon that does it instead. I don't know. There's just something. This deck is just too slow because you need the Tamer out. To be fair, and spending 5 never feels good. I don't know. I feel like it could be higher as it's got like a really good base of cards. It just needs that 1 or 2 more cards to push it out. I know we've seen that Digimon support stuff, which you could play in this deck. I just don't think you will though. Galapmon is definitely a tier 2 deck. Better than Rogue. It's got some fairly good stuff. The raid mechanic in this deck is actually fairly good to keep it on your turn, and then you can Digivolve up into X antibody to spend, and then go into Crimson Mode to swing again. Again, I do like the deck. It's just the biggest problem with a lot of these decks that don't like one punch the opponent to KO town. You just become basically a sitting target, and then you fall over and die, and then you just cry because that's the name of the game. And that is the issue with Galapmon. I feel it just doesn't have a way of being more useful, to say the least. I don't know if it needs protection. It needs something where it just like fall over to the ground, because that is Galapmon's biggest issue. Where it's a glass cannon, but it's essentially just glass most of the time. All Force. It did win the Ultimate Cup on Sunday, but my brain says it should be more like a tier 1.5 deck. It's got good matchups. It has a good time. It has a fairly good bounce around mechanic. It's pretty good. I don't really know. Maybe 1. I mean, if it starts winning things, obviously it should be 1. Yeah, maybe. I'm not too sure how I feel. It's a good deck. It's weird. Imperial's definitely rogue at the moment. The deck feels kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about the XV-mons, the new ones. I like having jamming in the level 4, so I can swing at the level 4, swing at security, hope I hit an option card, and then continue to play my stuff out like that. That to me just feels rough and weird, and I don't like it. And then essentially, obviously, you want to go up into your stack and do all your crazy things. I don't know. It feels like it misses a beat somewhere. Like, it's very good. It's the deck that like Imperial wants to be, where it just goes up and up and up. But no, I don't know. It needs some more cards to make it better. It got worse somehow. Although the Imperial card is very good. Shine. I expect Shine to be sort of around here for now. As soon as we hit EX3, though, it's going to bump up, and then as soon as we hit BT13, it's going to be a tier 1 deck. The reason I say it's only 1.5 now is because it doesn't really have amazing access to like all the good stuff. Has a lot of good in-house option cards, such as Shining Blast and Sunrise Buster, I believe it is. 2 very good cards, but you do have to survive around having the markers on the field. And currently, right now, you can't always get the markers on the field, but I do think it has a good run for its money and can definitely be a tier 1 contender once we get into the BT13 set. Black or Greymon right now, I think, is a tier 1 deck. The issue is it does have some bad matchups, and you don't really see these guys winning too much. I think it's because actually they have to fight each other a lot, and then they get stuck into matchups that they can't win, like Machine Digimon. And it gets really weird because like obviously it all depends on what your matchups are, so how good your deck can be. So I do think sometimes it's a case of like they don't see like the good matchups, and they only see the bad matchups, and so they kind of teeter out. Should probably be tier 1, but I think it's going to be tier 1.5. It's a good deck, but you can basically just outcharge it if you have the way of doing it. A lot of red hybrid players complain that it's a hard deck to go into because they can't out it. That's the same for every other deck. The issue being obviously with red hybrid is the fact that you can generally swarm this deck down in a couple of turns without really having to do much about it. But once it's on the field, it's generally hard to get rid of. The only thing they can really get rid of it is somehow removing its sources and then popping it, which is hard. Or you can Chaos Degradation, and that's kind of the only way to get rid of these cards. Yeah, not really the greatest way of doing things, but yeah, that's how Bandai wants to run this card game right now. I want to say Crossheart's probably like 1.5. Didn't really show up over the weekend. I think people did bring it on Friday, but I don't think it did too well overall. That being said, it's not a terrible deck. It still has some plays. Minerva X-Cross is still really strong and still really good, but we will see what goes on in the near future. As I don't think they have any more support now for at least a little bit. So, yeah, this is kind of like the end of the road for these guys, at least for now. Hunters, I want to say, is another tier 1.5 deck. Could be a tier 1 deck, just for how people are playing it. But again, it just doesn't seem like that strong. Like I know War Grey one just punches it down. I know these get bounced. I know these just suspend all your Tamers so you can't put your things out. There's just good counters to it in the meta, and I just feel like it's just not quite there yet. D-Brigade currently is rogue as rogue. Once we see more stuff from BT14, though, I do suspect this may be going up to maybe a tier 2 deck or maybe a tier 1.5. I do like the current mechanic stuff in that deck. We just want to see if it synergizes around the rest of the Digipolice / D-Brigade stuff that we can get. Cross Dragons or Link Dragons. Yeah, super rogue. Unfortunately, cards have got like some really good effects. It's just you can never get them out relatively effectively. I can't remember if they do get a support card in the near future or not, but it could be a case if they do, then maybe it does make things a bit easier for them. Imperial Purple. Yeah, Purple Imperial is not so good right now. It does get Shardramon in the near future in the BT14 promo kit, I believe. Yeah, once that card comes out, we'll see how it goes. I feel like it does fix a lot of issues in this deck, but not necessarily enough to make it quick. To be fair, the deck's very good. The deck is kind of interestingly good, but we shall see what goes on once we get there. Exa is like in a weird place where it's like it should be kind of like here, like between tier 1 and tier 1.5. It's a very good deck. We've not really had access to like a very good variant of this, really. It's too slow for a lot of decks. A lot of decks just rush it down. We just really get to see things. The most unfortunate thing for us is we don't get the BT13 promo pack, which gives us the Drecamon that says when you play a level 5 to the field, you can digivolve it into a level 5, and then obviously level 5 is actually going to DNA, going to Exa. So unfortunately we don't get that until I think either BT14 or BT15, and that could be a case of like we're not going to get that until 6 months after Japan got it, which makes it even worse for the deck, so the deck's even slower for a little bit longer. Dobrik, I'm going to give this a 1.5. If you see Jiao Gensu, he's done a fantastic like Ragnar build where he uses this as like the secondary mega to sort of like throw it down, go up into the Ragnar and just like essentially burn down your opponent and make him cry. I think the deck is really cool. I think the deck is really interesting, but it specifically works around essentially getting to your opponent to free security, then trying to slow the game down and you go down, okay, and just blow them out for the fun of it. Card's good, card's interesting. I kind of want to see some more support and see what this can do, but we'll have to wait and see, I think. God. This deck, yeah, if you know, you know. But no, this deck is trash. I think I've seen like one person win once with this deck, and that was all she wrote, because why not? Yeah, I don't know what people were thinking either. I've still tried to about Galapmon here, but obviously Galapmon. Sorry, Crimson Mode's here, but it's obviously here with Galapmon. Yeah, Galapmon's still a tier 2 deck. But yeah, this is what I'm thinking currently, guys. I do think these are probably like the best 3 decks in here. I don't know what happened to. There should be some red hybrid in here. Hybrid should be also like tier 1 deck. Apparently I didn't bring a card out. That's very strange. But yeah, so these plus hybrid, and then I think Metal Garurumon should be here. Yeah, that would be my thoughts of this meta. I'm sure I'm forgetting a deck. Galactimon, if I was thinking one, would probably be like tier 2 as well. I've seen it do plays. It's not terrible. It's not fantastic. Yeah, there's nothing I can really think of that people are playing right now that's not here besides Red Flare. Red Hybrid. But yeah, I think that's everything. Let me know in the comments if I've missed a deck and where you'd put it on here, and I will comment something else. But yeah, peace out and goodbye, guys, and see you for the next episode, which will probably be just an update to whatever's going on in the game. So yeah, see you well. Bye.